Welcome back, everybody, to LoneStarVarsity.com. George Watson with the Avalanche-Journal here, ready to run down this week in the Class 1A playoffs and in the six-man playoffs. We're down to 5 teams here on the South Plains, all in the 1A and 6-man. Let's start with in Division 2. The New Deal Lions get a bit of a scare on Friday against Iran, but it's a game that really they won. You're really going away and dominated throughout. It was 21-3 mid-fourth quarter before Iran started to come back. It was a game that New Deal was pretty much in control, but it took the Josh Nelson interception return, 55 yards for a touchdown late in the game to seal that 28-17 win. And now the Lions move on, 5th ranked, move on to play Sunray, which was the 3rd place team out of District 1-1A. And it should tell you how tough District 1-1A is when it's got the 2 defending state champions in it, in Canadian and Stratford. But the Lions get Sunray, the 3rd place team out of there. They beat Wheeler 20-14 this past week. It's going to be a contrast of a couple of teams that like to run the football. New Deal with its vaunted running game we all know about. Larry Dennis with his yardage, over 1,700 yards, and a big boost last week. And New Deal got back Stephen Bryant, the outstanding quarterback and safety. He made a big difference in that game. His physical presence, running the football and just running that offense, I think makes a big difference. But now you look, and they're going up against a Sunray team that's also going to run the ball pretty good. They've got a very good quarterback in Ty Dooley, who's pretty balanced. He's got about 1,100 rushing yards and about 1,000 passing yards. And then you've got running back Colton Wilson. He's got about 1,700 rushing yards and about 26 touchdowns. So it's going to be a physical game, I think. We'll see which team can assert itself physically, both offensively and defensively. Here's the thing, we all talked about New Deal's offense, but New Deal's defense, averages less than 100 yards per game allowed. So I think that's going to make a big difference going up against a Sunray team that likes to run the football, and we'll see how that matchup goes. Now we move also into Division 2. Start with Spring Lake Earth and Stratford. We mentioned Stratford. They're the Division 2 defending state champion, and it looks like they're back on a roll again, but now they're going up against maybe one of those miracle teams in Spring Lake Earth. The Wolverines have had an outstanding football season, and they've been getting it done. Spring Lake Earth this past week got down 14-0 against Seagraves before they came roaring back 33-14. Stratford also picked up a win this week, so it's going to be 2 teams that I think are pretty contrasting styles. Spring Lake Earth has its balance with the quarterback Blake Betts. He's got almost 2,000 passing yards, but they've also got a lot of weapons on offense that can run the football, guys like Anthony Carrasco and guys like that I think are going to be able to give Spring Lake Earth the balance. The thing is, if they fall behind against Stratford like they did last week, it's going to be hard for them to come back. Stratford has been in this position. They have that playoff experience. They know what they're doing. They are led by their running back, Bryce Cummings, an outstanding running back. He's got about 1,400 yards, and then they've got some offensive balance as well. So it's going to be key for Spring Lake Earth not to get behind. They're going to have to stay out ahead and to have a chance against Stratford. Now we go up to Division 1, and another state champion in Canadian, the 7th-ranked team in the state. They get maybe another miracle team, certainly a team that's setting some playoff history in the Alton Mustangs. Alton has been, I wouldn't say one of our surprise teams. I think they just kind of flew under the radar, but they're not under anybody's radar now, not after 2 rounds deep into the playoffs for the first time in school history, 2 playoff wins for the first time in school history. And, it was interesting talking with Coach Joel Baker this week. He kind of gave him a little bit of a speech from Braveheart when it came to Canadian, telling them, hey, Canadian's human. They're not going to be shooting fireballs out of their eye sockets. They can be beat. Although it's going to take I think a high-scoring game, because the fewest points that Canadian has ever given up this season is 34 points, and their only loss was a shootout against Perryton, a Class 3A team that they lost 51-35. So Alton, I think, is going to have to keep its offense in gear, but we all know what that offense can do. Bobby Wayne Workman, the outstanding quarterback, thrown for almost 3,000 yards. And one thing to look for, I think, look for them to try to get their outstanding receiver Ryan Nieto, has got over 1,000 yards receiving. Look for them to try to get him into some one-on-one matchups. If they can get him one-on-one single covered, then look for Workman to go to Nieto and look for some big plays. I think that's going to be a key for Alton coming into this football game. But then again, you've got Canadian, and they've just got balance up and down the lineup. Their outstanding quarterback Braden Robinson can do it on both sides of the ball, or both phases of the ball, passing and throwing, and then they've got just talent up and down that lineup. I've seen Canadian. I've seen these kind of teams that Coach Kyle Lynch has produced, and they are just outstanding, whether it's been in 2A or 1A. They are just, they're always well coached, very fundamentally sound, and just a solid football team. Now we go into the six-man ranks, where we find our Meadow Broncos, high-ranked in the state and deservedly so, coming off a 68-44 victory over Valley on Friday night up at Plainview, up at Greg Sherwood Memorial Stadium. And now they turn around and they get another top-ranked team in Follett. Now, we all know what Meadow's going to do. They're going to run the football, they're going to run the football, and then they're going to run the football some more, and they're going to do it behind their outstanding running back, Rico Rocha, who is once again approaching 3,000 yards rushing, has 55 touchdowns on the season. Those numbers are just hard to fathom, but then listen to these numbers. In the last 2 years combined, Rico Rocha has more than 6,200 yards and 121 touchdowns. In six-man football, where the idea is to put it in the air, if you can get a guy that can run the football like that and dictate the tempo with that offensive line, that's just amazing what Meadow can do, and that's why they're back in this part of the playoffs again. Now they go up against a Follett team, the Follett team that hasn't allowed very many points but is scoring a lot of points, so it'll be interesting to see if Follett's defense can find a solution for Rico Rocha and Meadow. If they can't, then it could be a long night for the Follett Panthers. We could see the Meadow Broncos moving on into the state semifinals behind Rico Rocha, behind that offensive line. Should be a big game come Friday night up in Pampa, 6 o'clock. And then finally we come to a rematch of a District 6A championship in Division II, Sands and Borden County. These two teams have met. Seems like they've been the top two teams in this district for the last few years. Also seems like they've been the top two teams in this region in Division II for the last 2 years in Region 2. And once again, here they are in the Region 2 semifinal, or in the Region 2 final, excuse me. Like I said, this is a rematch from last year from October 23rd, when Borden County beat Sands 40-20 and pretty much secured the district championship. Now they come back again, Borden County, the defending state champion, and looks like they're just rolling again behind running back Michael Cooley and quarterback Miles Valentine. That offense is averaging about 3,000 yards, or they've gotten about 3,000 yards on the season. They're doing very well. Cooley's got about 1,700 yards, and Valentine has thrown for about 1,000. They just have the balance, they have the ability, they have the physicalness that I think is just going to be too much for Sands. Sands a good football team, but I just don't think that they're going to be able to match Borden County again. This one, if you don't have a team to root for, if you're living here in Lubbock County, find yourself at Lowry Field. Sands and Borden County this weekend should be a good one for in six-man ranks. That's all the time we have for this week. Check back next week. We'll review what happened in the playoffs and get you caught up on the teams that are still alive here in the high school football playoffs. For Lone Star Varsity and for the Lubbock Avalanche-Journal, I'm George Watson.